Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Big Donch Podcast, episode 15 of our Sports World Weekly. That's right, episode 15. So glad to continue this every week. Sorry I missed last week. I was sick, really sick, actually. Got scared that I have COVID, tested myself, did not, thankfully. But usually I get colds randomly like that anyway. My allergies are usually, always bad. So I couldn't do it. I really haven't posted at all, both on here and then, of course, my YouTube. But we have a big podcast coming up today. We're going to start off with, of course, my Steelers just back in trouble, back to where they are. We're going to talk about some college football with the conference championships happening and the playoff rankings. And then, of course, big bowl games coming up and a lot more. Plus, Stephen Curry breaking the record. And, of course, ending with the fight news that happened over the past couple of weeks. I always love to cover the fight news. We have a huge UFC card that happened over the weekend. And then we have, of course, Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley coming up pretty sure this week. So let's get into this. We'll start off right with the NFL. Steelers losing to the Vikings, my Pittsburgh Steelers. If you want to know my whole thoughts on that, check out my reaction video on my YouTube. Posted it. Gave my thoughts. Disappointed, of course. We are now at 6-1. Obviously not going to seem as bad now because the game did happen last Thursday, but we did came back. Our first half was terrible. The second half, we started playing good. Big Ben looked really, really good. I'm really happy to see the way he played. Taking a look at his stats, he threw for over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns with 1 interception. Najee Harris had a great game as well, 94 yards, a touchdown. And then he also had some receiving yards with 10 yards and a touchdown. Receivers played good too. I mean, Claypool will get into that, but he did have a good game. Dante Johnson continued to play good. Washington got in the end zone, and so does Freiermuth continuing to get in the end zone. I'm pretty sure Freiermuth had 7 touchdowns this year. But just to recap that game, I know, like I said, I did on my YouTube, but just disappointing first half. Big Ben, I mean, the way he's going out right now, it's just a shame. I don't want to see him go out and end this year, on a season like that, a game like that. I don't want that to shape his whole, career, shape his whole season. We got to turn this around, and I thought we could turn it around after that Ravens win. And, I mean, we were on fire. We played great. I thought, all right, this is our chance to turn this season up. And it just wasn't the case. We should have beat the Vikings. I think we are a better team than the Vikings. I mean, we came back from 29 points or something like that. I don't know if the box score is here on CBS. Yeah. I mean, we scored 21 points in the fourth quarter alone. I mean, our offense, if you've been watching the Steelers offense, our offense is pretty bad in the past couple of years. But for us to score 21 points in the fourth quarter, we came back. We scored 28 points in the second half alone. We only lost 36-28, but we are coming back. I mean, mistakes happen. I'm getting to Chase Claypool, just a shame what he was doing. I mean, he had a taunting call earlier in the game. He missed a huge block earlier in the game. And then, of course, catches the ball, makes a nice play off a little quick slant, gets the first down, and starts celebrating, waste some time off the clock. Now, I know a lot of people are over-exaggerating, saying that, if you wouldn't have done that, the Steelers would have won. I mean, that's not guaranteed. We would have had at least one play left. And, of course, that play could have turned into a touchdown. But, I mean, that whole blame can't be on Chase Claypool. As much as he gets me mad, I mean, I was very angry at him the past couple of days after that game. But now looking back, I mean, it was just mistakes that we had. I mean, we shouldn't have even get destroyed that bad in the first half to begin with. Our defense was pretty bad, of course, on the run game. Dalvin Cook played amazing. Our receivers were wide open. Kirk Cousins looked like prime. Joe Montana and Justin Jefferson. I mean, of course, it's Justin Jefferson. I don't know when Joe Hayden coming back. We're playing the Titans this week. I don't know how their receivers are looking. Of course, they have a great duo in Julio Jones and A.J. Brown. I know they've been out for quite some time, so hopefully, not to say I wish they're injured more, but, if they can stay out one more week, that would be great for our secondary with how bad we're playing. Joe Hayden's status, I have no clue how it's looking, but I don't know. TJ Watt went out also with injury. I mean, he's our best player, probably the best defense player in the league, if you want to argue with that. And he went down, so that didn't help either. I mean, just a mess. I do not think the Vikings were better than us. We just played a sloppy first half, and that's what ruined us. I'm very proud of the second half, though, with our team. I'm excited to see how Big Ben played. I think that we could beat the Titans once again, a team that I think that we could actually beat. But will we beat them? I don't know. If we look at the rest of our schedule, we have the Ravens one more time, the Browns one more time, the Chiefs one more time, and the Titans one more time. It's a very hard schedule. We're at 6-1 right now. Of course, we shouldn't have tied with the Vikings. We should be at 7-6, but it is what it is. I mean, 4 wins. We got to win out. We had to win out from that Ravens game for us to make playoffs. We definitely have to win out now. We can't have no losses unless we pull for some miracle in the Ravens to lose and all that. We need to beat the Ravens and the Browns. That's the two teams we need to beat because they're in our division. And we got to get at least a win out of this Titans game. We got to get a win. Chiefs, I don't know. I mean, I think the Chiefs are a better team than us, but we could beat them still. But I don't know. It's going to be rough. We'll have to see, though. Like I said, though, we're playing the Titans 1 o'clock on Sunday, a team that I think we should beat. The Chiefs, talking about them, though, they're hot. They're playing great. They've blown out the Raiders. Patrick Mahomes playing okay, but still just a great team. Overall team right now, getting back up there. Probably top 3 team in the NFL now, especially playing like it. Being a team like the Raiders, their situation where a team that we lost to earlier in the year, but, they had a great start, and now they're starting to go downhill. They're probably going to miss playoffs as well. The Ravens losing to the Browns without Lamar Jackson also happened. I was actually rooting for the Ravens. First time I usually ever root for the Ravens because my scenario as a Steeler fan, us trying to get in the playoffs was, okay, let the Ravens have the division. We probably have no shot at the division. Let them have the division. But let's have them beat a team that we're trying to compete with to get the wild card spot, and that's a team like the Browns. Well, the Browns ended up beating the Ravens, Lamar Jackson going down, but hopefully had a pretty good comeback. It was down to the wire. They had an onside kick. I was actually watching that game, Buffalo Wild Wings, which is pretty crazy, but they recovered the onside kick, and I don't know. They just could not score off it, couldn't get it through low range to let Justin Tucker do his thing, and ended up losing. Bucks beat the Bills in overtime. That was kind of a blowout in the beginning of the game, but then the Bills started to come back. Tom Brady starting to run the ball a little bit more. Definitely excited to see him do that. Always, used to him kind of being soft, kind of being a soft player. Rolling out, put his shoulder down. Definitely cool to see at 44 years old, Tom Brady, the greatest to ever do it. The Bills are struggling too. That's a team that we're trying to compete with for the wild card spot. I think they had that wild card spot as of today. They're at 7th seed, but we beat them earlier in the year. I think we can beat them again. I think they're a team that can definitely fall out, but it's going to take a lot of luck. The Rams beating the Cardinals on Monday Night Football. My question, basically, today, the big question is Rams the best team in the football? I think so right now. They beat teams like the Buccaneers. They beat teams like the Cardinals. I don't know. They have a great player with Cooper Kupp who should win Offensive Player of the Year, in my opinion. He's at 1,400 yards right now, close to 1,500 yards. He's only 11 yards away from 1,500 yards. Leads the league in all receptions, yards, and touchdowns. Basically has a triple crown right now. Could be the first player to be a straight out triple crown winner since, I'm pretty sure, Sterling Sharp from the Packers in like the 90s. I think he should be Offensive Player of the Year. Kind of getting slept on right now. I know Jonathan Taylor is up there too, but I feel like Cooper Kupp's just doing more. I think what Cooper Kupp's doing is more impressive. I feel like if Derrick Henry was still in the league, he wouldn't. Jonathan Taylor wouldn't be getting as much recognition. So I think Cooper Kupp should win Offensive Player of the Year as of now. He's playing great games. Looking at his stat line over the past couple weeks, against the Cardinals, he had 123 yards and a touchdown. Jaguars, he had 129 yards and a touchdown. Had 3 straight games with 0 touchdowns, but then up to the Texans, 1 touchdown. The Lions, 2 touchdowns. Giants, 2 touchdowns. All these games are over 100 yards. And he's getting a lot of receptions. He's pulling in a lot of receptions. Just against the Cardinals, he had 13 receptions. Of course, I had to play him in fantasy. Put up like 30 yards. like 35 points for my opponent. But Cooper Kupp's the real deal. The Rams are the real deal. I think they're the best team in the league right now. The second best could probably be the Packers. But I don't know. I just think the Rams are just more complete overall. They have the defense. They have the offense. Matt Stafford, always going to cheer for him. But they're just, I don't know. They're insane, and to me, honestly. Beating the Cardinals on the road, too, which is definitely impressive to me. But I think the Rams are the best team in the league. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm never going to bet on a team to win a Super Bowl in the regular season ever. I did not bet against the Buccaneers. I bet the Buccaneers to lose in the playoffs in the regular season last year, and they have winning the whole thing. So I'm never going to bet a Super Bowl team during the regular season. It's so hard to tell anyway. But, that'll be a podcast. I'll talk about that on the podcast later on in the season. I know we're coming down with about 4 weeks. So crazy how fast the NFL goes too, especially with 7-week season now we have, or 17-game season we have. But yeah, Rams, best team in the league. If you want to argue with me, please let me know. I'd love to debate, but definitely go with the Rams. Definitely go with Cooper Kupp as the best wide receiver and offensive player right now, minus quarterbacks. I think a roll with the quarterback situation and offensive player of the year and MVP. I feel like if you win MVP, you should not win offensive player of the year. That's just my opinion. I feel like that should be a rule. And obviously MVP is kind of like a quarterback award. So majority of the time, quarterback's going to win the MVP. So I don't think let's say Aaron Rodgers wins MVP this year. I don't think he should win offensive player of the year and MVP too. I feel like we see that in the past couple of years. I know Patrick Mahomes, he won both offensive player of the year and Rookie of the Year. I'm sorry, MVP. We see it a couple other times as well. So I don't know. I don't really like that idea. I feel like if you win MVP, you should be automatically excluded from both offense or defensive player of the year. That's just my opinion. Let's wrap up the NFL. And when we get back, we'll get into some more football with NCAA football. We'll talk about the conference championships, the playoff rankings, Notre Dame Bowl versus Oklahoma State, and then Bryce Young winning Heisman, as long as a couple other bowl games. So since I didn't get to record last week, of course, Notre Dame versus Oklahoma State was announced in the bowl game. I'm all right with it. Notre Dame's at ranked number 5. Oklahoma State's ranked number 9. Going to be a great game regardless, but I'm all right with it. I know that a lot of fans are pushing for the playoff spot. And of course, it's always nice to see it. But if you look at the past couple of years, us getting the playoffs just for us to get smacked, I mean, I'm kind of sick of that. I know we have a new head coach, but I feel like he's just not ready yet to win us a playoff game or let alone a national championship. I'm fine with the bowl game we have. I'm not sure exactly what bowl game it is. I'll have to look right now. But of course, it's going to be on January 1st. Like that. I like that. I like that tradition that they do. Usually playing on New Year's Eve and New Year's. Yeah, they're playing in the State Farm Stadium. No, I'm sorry. Fiesta Bowl. I thought it was State Farm Ball. Fiesta Bowl, 1 o'clock p.m. Number 5 Notre Dame versus number 9 Oklahoma State. Both great teams, of course. Notre Dame fan here talking on this podcast. I'm sure you guys know that by now. But Kyle Hamilton and Williams, our running back and our safety, declaring for the draft and skipping the bowl game. Kind of disappointed in that. I mean, Kyle Hamilton, yeah, I see that, but our running back, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of tough. I mean, he's probably not even going to draft in the first 2 rounds. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I respect it, I guess. See them chase the bag, go after the money, but I feel like, especially Hamilton, he was pushing for Freeman to be the head coach, just for him to, you know what I mean, just to declare for the draft and sit out of the bowl game. But I know it's not the first time. Many players do it. They don't want to risk the injury. I understand that, but I don't know. I kind of disappointed just to see that. Kyle Hamilton, I understand, but our running back, Williams, I don't know. It is what it is. They're going to make a big difference, though. Williams, especially. Kyle Hamilton, especially. I know Kyle Hamilton has been dealing with some injuries lately, so I do understand that once again. But I don't know. It's going to be going to affect us a lot. Going to really be depending on Cohen to make the right throws, not to overthrow anybody like he usually does. But this game could go either way. Going to be a tough game. Going to be a fun game to watch, though. Definitely more confident in this if we were to make the playoffs. Definitely. So take a look at some, the playoff rankings or the AP football rankings. AP top 25 looking at right now. Alabama number 1, of course, beating Georgia. Surprising, honestly. I thought Georgia was going to destroy Alabama in that conference championship, but they moved to number 1. Michigan at number 2. Georgia at number 3. Cincinnati at number 4. Notre Dame at 5. Baylor at 6. Ohio State at 7. Mississippi at 8. Oklahoma State at 9. Utah at 10. Some notable teams out of the top 10. We have Clemson at 19. I mean, they had a rough season. Oklahoma at 14. Pitt at 13. Glad to see Pitt, get some rankings as a Steelers fan. Kentucky on that board at 9-3. UTSA 12-1. They're at ranked 24. Wake Forest 20. Iowa 17. I mean, they were ranked first, I think. Not first, but they were ranked top 4 earlier in the year. But Oregon at 15. So there's a lot of notable teams there. But let's take a look at some bowl games that are happening as well. So we have the Outback Bowl on January 1st. We have number 21 Arkansas versus Penn State. Number 15 Iowa versus number 22 Kentucky in the Citrus Bowl. We have the Rose Bowl, Ohio State versus Utah. That's going to be a great game as well. That's 5 p.m. Sugar Bowl, we have number 7 Baylor versus number 8 Ole Miss. Probably going to be the best game that day, honestly, just because the rankings are so close. The 2 great teams. Baylor knocking off Oklahoma State in the conference championship. I thought that's going to help Notre Dame get into the playoffs, but they did not. And then let's see what happens in the other games. We have December 31st, number 17 Wake Forest versus number 25 Texas A&M. We have the Cotton Bowl, of course, the actual playoff semifinal. Number 1 Alabama versus number 4 Cincinnati. I feel like Alabama is going to destroy Cincinnati. Then we have Michigan versus Georgia. This is going to be a great game. Definitely going to be the best game out of all of them. That's the Orange Bowl, 7:30 game. So always fun games to watch. Bowl season. Always enjoyed it, especially the playoffs. Not having to really worry about Notre Dame getting destroyed this year. Obviously, they still could, but it's not like we're playing Bama or Georgia or Clemson or Ohio State or teams that are just way better than us. So going to be a little refreshing to watch the ball games this year, is what I'm trying to say. Bryce Young wins Heisman. He won over guys like Pickett from Pitt, C.J. Stroud, and Hutchinson or Hawkins. I'm not sure, actually. I forget his name. From Michigan. A lot of people saying that the guy from Michigan deserved it. In my opinion, I feel like just Bryce Young got it. I mean, he's a quarterback, just how it is. Of course, all great 4 players that were in the finalist. I feel like the Michigan linebacker at the end, I'm not sure exactly the position. Let's look them up before I start reading off names. I don't even know. You know what I mean? I'm talking about who I don't even know. Michigan, the end. I don't know if he's outside linebacker like PJ Watt or is he straight up the end. All right, Hutchinson. So I always right with the last name. Aiden Hutchinson. Great player. He's probably going to go top 5 in the draft. Bryce Young, I don't know if he's staying. I know CJ Stroud's staying, but Kenny Pickett, hopefully Steelers really go after him. That'll be definitely clutch. He's a little mobile quarterback, so I'd like to see the Steelers go after him in the draft. But other than that, that wraps up college football. I mean, just got to really wait until the games and see how that goes, see who wins the national championship. If I could bet on it right now, I feel like Michigan's going to be a sleeper team to win the championship. That would be definitely cool to see with Harbaugh finally getting his chances. Michigan becoming good again. Hutchinson, I feel like he could really do a lot of terror for those quarterbacks in the backfield and offensive line. But that wraps up NCAA football. When we get back, we'll finish up the show with some NBA and some college basketball, as long as some fighting. And that'll wrap up the show. Great show so far. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more. Hey, I gotta start having some commercials or something in between those outros or whatever the heck they are, or transitions or something like that, because I'd be closing out my topics or my little segments, and then kind of seems like I'm closing the show, which I'm not. I'm closing out the show right now though with some NBA. Steph Curry breaking the record, scoring, let's see, 200. I'm sorry, not 200, 2,974 career 3-pointers, beating Ray Allen's record. I mean, everyone's like, "Oh wow, officially the greatest shooter of all time." He'd been the greatest shooter of all time like four years ago. Steph Curry, the way he shoots is just insane. I was watching him in the play-in tournament last year, especially coming off like a rough season the year before that, and thinking, he's old, he don't got it. He was making crazy threes, hand in the face, making it, everything. Just a fun player to watch. Now, I know a lot of people say best point guard of all time, and I'm still going to say no. Magic Johnson, still going to go with that. Why? Because Magic Johnson, even though Steph Curry is funner to watch, Magic Johnson is a better defender. He's a better finisher, better post scorer, a better rebounder, better playmaker. Only thing Stephen Curry has, and no disrespect to Curry, only thing Curry has, though, on Magic is shooting and dribbling. That's it. Magic has everything else. So I'm going with Magic still to this day. And it always will be Magic until somebody's better than everything that Magic could do. But no disrespect to Curry, not to take away from his record. I mean, that record was no surprise either. Everyone hypes it up too. I mean, everybody knew he was going to get it. I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like it got so many posts that it deserved. Because, I mean, like, everybody knew he was going to get it. It's not like it just came out of nowhere. It wasn't like a one-game thing. It was like everybody knew it would happen. But still, great, obviously. Great career he's having. Great accomplishment. Still one of the best players of all time, in my opinion. Not top 5, not top 10, but still the best Warriors player, at least, of all time. Stephen Curry. Another thing I want to mention about NBA is expect more NBA reaction videos from me, but not just highlights and player highlights, the game reactions. I posted a couple in the summer with the play-in tournaments and playoffs. Expect more from now, especially regular season. Going to focus more around Sixer games, but when more bigger games happen, like let's say last week with the Suns versus Warriors, that's the game I'd react to in the regular season. But definitely expect more NBA game reactions, expect more NFL game reactions, stuff like that as well, and more NCAA football reactions. Definitely excited to see how my YouTube takes off in the year 2022, just posting almost every day. That's really the goal. To shift over now to the NBA, not the NBA, NCAA men's basketball. Duke destroyed NC State last night. Kind of a, bad matchup for us, but it's all right. We beat them 100 something to 60. So excited to see how Duke's playing. They lost to Ohio State the other day or other week. So especially coming after a win against Gonzaga, who I thought, we could go undefeated beating teams like that. We start off beating Kentucky, and then we beat Gonzaga. Lose to Ohio State. It happens. It's hard to go undefeated in basketball, in college basketball. I mean, I don't know when the last time a team did that. What was it, like UCLA or something like that? But yeah, Duke basketball, definitely excited to see. Gonzaga, a couple other teams big in the NBA right now. Why do I keep saying NBA? NCAA men's basketball. I keep saying the NBA because on my little script I wrote NCAA MB, so it kind of seems like NBA. But yeah, that's all my thoughts. And then, oh my gosh, I keep saying NBA. That's my thoughts on college basketball. There we go. College basketball, college basketball, college basketball. There we go. But that's all my thoughts. Of course, obviously, way too early to tell to even see who's going to be a dominant team in the tournament. You really never know with how many upsets there are. That's why, of course, college basketball as well is a very fun sport to watch in the playoffs, just like the MLB and the NFL. And I like the NBA. NBA is probably the most predicted championship to pick. I mean, every year you really know who's going to be the top two teams in the championship. You might not know who wins, but you definitely know who's going to be definitely the top four or top two. But going into fighting now, 2 weeks ago, Gervonta Davis fought Isaac Cruz in a game I really thought was not in a game, a fight I really thought was really good, deserved more recognition. A lot of people were saying that Cruz was robbed. In my opinion, not really. I feel like Davis outboxed him, or just a little. Definitely a close fight, but I wouldn't say Cruz was robbed. Cruz, though, definitely getting up there now, getting his recognition he deserved. It would be nice to see him fight another lightweight who's up there. Nice to see him fight maybe Caleb Plant or somebody who's coming off a loss, or you know what I mean, just to get him up there more. I mean, obviously Cruz isn't up there yet, and with one of the greater fighters right now in that division, but I feel like he can get some recognition. Definitely can compete. Is what I'm trying to say. Definitely could compete. This Saturday we have Paul versus Woodley. I mean, it was supposed to be Fury, but that is Woodley. Still going to be a pretty decent fight. I mean, I really respect what Jake Paul is doing lately. Really fighting hard, really training hard. Just curious to see how he does that with Woodley. This is a rematch. Curious to see how Woodley bounces back too. Loma beats Comey or Comey. I'm really not sure how to say his last name. I watched that fight for a little because I kind of knew Loma would win. But just fun always to see Loma fighting. His style is just unique. That's what makes him a great fighter. He's definitely getting back up there now after that loss to Teofimo. We had a great UFC card last week as well. This last weekend, we had, of course, Oliveira versus Poirier. Oliveira won. Then we had Sugar Show O'Malley. Definitely a fun fighter to watch right now. He won. We saw Amanda Nunes get upset by Juliana. That was definitely insane. We had Gerbentra. I don't even know how to say his name. The dude was all tatted up. He lost. Sad to see how he's going down. He's been losing a lot lately. But definitely a great card to see. Definitely a great card to see. I don't know any UFC fights coming up soon. I know Ngannou was fighting in January. I'm pretty sure it is. But yeah, UFC is always a fun events to watch. Just patiently waiting for Conor McGregor to get back, but I need him to get back when he's ready. Don't be rushing. He rushed that Poirier third fight and then the snap at his leg. We all saw how that went. But yeah, excited to see what McGregor does. The greatest, not maybe not the greatest fighter of all time, but he made the UFC. Greatest entertainer in the UFC, of course, of all time. But that wraps up my podcast, the Big Donch Podcast. Had a great show today, actually. Only started messing up later on in the show when I started having bad transitions, but that's all right. We still learn. We're still learning. Episode 15. I mean, if you looked at episode 1, definitely a lot of improvements. Always choppy, maybe always stuttering. Now I'm learning all that. That's good. Still got a lot to learn. Just how it is. Chase your dream. Big Donch Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube, Big Donch. Follow me on TikTok too, but have a lot of success on that right now. That's also Big Donch. Follow my Instagram, Big Donch. You're listening to Big Donch Podcast.